Hi all, my name is Nina Means, Director for Austin Community College Fashion Incubator, and this is Workshop Wednesday. So for this series, we're going to be going over all the different components of what it takes to be a technical designer. So if you remember from our intro video, what we did was we talked to you a little bit about what that technical designer role does. If you're working for a large company, you're probably taking a lot of designs and creative ideas from an apparel designer and then translating that into information that a factory or manufacturer can understand in order to create a real product. Sometimes what we work with are sketches or drawings or something we call a callouts page that has all the different design components that we want to get across. However, sometimes the technical expertise in order to achieve that can be a bit challenging. So a technical designer steps in to really be the glue between the apparel designer with all the fantastic and wonderful ideas to the factory and sometimes other vendor partners in order to make sure that the product comes back as it's been requested. So this is something that we typically do whenever you're working for a large company, but sometimes if you're working for a much smaller company, or if you're working for yourself, this now becomes your job. And so what we're going to do is we're going to help you learn what it takes to actually communicate with the factory effectively. And that's going to primarily center around something we call the tech pack. We've gone over the design process before, and we'll be sure to reiterate what that design process is for you today. However, what we wanted to do was to really focus on the tech pack because that's really the central document that's used to communicate with factories. Whenever we look at the whole design process, whether we're talking about the concept and the mood board and understanding what's in kind of inspiring the design to some of the initial sketches and the sketch review, to actually creating the product and a prototype, all the way to follow it through to production, all the design approvals and fit approvals that have to happen to get to a production quality product. This is what we do during this phase. We really work around one central document, and that's called the tech pack. So the tech pack is something that we really want to make sure that you guys have an opportunity to understand thoroughly, because honestly, if you're able to make a tech pack, you could probably make most tech packs digitally. This is really how we're working these days. And so it's important for us to explain to you how to do them as they are designed, how they're supposed to be used to communicate effectively in our industry. So one of the resources that we use, because we're the fashion incubator at ACC, and we work very closely with Gerber Technology, we're actually going to go through this process on Unique PLM. So what is that? Unique PLM is a product lifecycle management software platform, and it's actually cloud-based. So what's wonderful about this particular platform is as you create your product, you have the opportunity to communicate with all of your factories and vendor partners throughout the process, and everyone has an opportunity to communicate and see what's happening in real time with what's happening in your tech pack. So you may have a specific development process or development calendar of when you need your products to be completed. And so as a lot of times what happens, there's emails and then Google Drives and other things that are kind of a bit more precarious. Sometimes you have some more opportunities for things to slip through the cracks. This platform actually allows you to have all of your communication and all of your dialogue all in one place in a way where it timestamps everyone's engagement so you know exactly what happened and when. This is amazing for transparency. It's helpful to increase your speed to getting your product completed. And so this is one of the things that we're really excited to introduce to you. Our designers and residents have just finished learning how to use this platform, and they love it. They all want to get it. So I think you may also be interested in it as well, but we're here to really show you about the tech pack. So what we're going to do is to take you through step by step the stages of how you initiate a tech pack, how you do the various steps. And so what I'm going to do for you is give you a bit of an overview of what comes in a tech pack, and then I'm going to take you into the platform, okay? So inside of a tech pack, what you're going to see are various pages. All of these pages are meant to work together to be able to achieve one garment. So you're not going to do an entire collection in a single tech pack. You're going to do one garment per technical package. Sometimes if you have one garment that comes in a different variety, say it's for a petite or a plus size or something of that nature, sometimes you'll also have a separate tech pack for those sizes, or maybe an additional documentation page within that tech pack to denote what's happening. A lot of times they will get a different style number, which will only be attributed to one package. And this is really important because the more you can reduce, the more you can reduce, the more effectively you can reduce confusion around your product, the more your relationship with your factory will improve. No one likes to be confused, but the more efficient you will be in getting your product done correctly. So think about kind of going the path of least resistance in terms of communication. We want you to be very to the point, very concise, but also very descriptive. And so that's a very difficult balance to match. But if you're very direct about what it is that you want to accomplish, it's more likely that your factory, your vendor partners, your buyers will be able to know whether or not the product that's being created meets their needs or not more quickly, which helps you to create product that's going to be more effective in the market. So what we want to do is to take you through the various pages of the technical design package. And then I'm going to take you into the Gerber Technology unique PLM platform. So normally, whenever you do a tech pack, you're going to have a title page. You're going to have, what we would call kind of a call outs page. Sometimes you'll get an inspiration page. We want to know all about the things that are inspiring this garment. Maybe there's a reference image to a style that you like that's similar. And so it gives everyone an idea of what it is that we're going for. The colors, the print direction, things of that nature may also be included in the inspiration. You'll also take the time to, after you've described those things and you've described every single placement and stitch, we really go into those details around the call outs, around every single armhole construction. We may talk about how the neckline is put together, where the stitches are, what kinds of stitches we want, because then all of that's going to inform what's happening on our bill of materials. Bill of materials is something where it is a page where we will actually list out all of the different components of what needs to be purchased in order for this garment to work. So the fabric, the trim, the interfacing, labels, packaging, all of those things that would be necessary for this garment to come to life. After we do our bill of materials, we do something called the point of measure. And the point of measure basically goes over, all of the different points of measurement to be able to create the garment. So this is really valuable for your pattern maker. They're going to need to know what's the neck width, what is the length of the body measurement. So we always measure from something called highest point shoulder. So it's the highest point on your shoulder to the bottom of the garment. How long is it? What's the full body length of the garment? We do that from the front, we do it to the back. We will, do arm lengths, we will do body circumferences. All of these things give us more data, more information on knowing whether or not this garment's been created correctly or not. A really crucial moment, and we'll spend a lot of time going over that so that you understand what happens in that particular space. In addition to the points of measure, we may also do construction diagrams or label diagrams. Where should the labeling be pasted inside the garment? I don't know if you've had that itchy tag situation before, where something's been placed and it's just slightly uncomfortable. A lot of times, that's because either the label diagram wasn't done, and so the factory just slid it in wherever they thought it was easiest during production, or the designer or technical designer just placed it at a spot that the customer found irritating. And so these are all really valuable feedback pieces that we'll want to know before we go in and make 1,000 units of something. So the tech pack is a really valuable way for you to be able to keep track of all the design elements that are going into a style, before you make a lot of them in a lot of different sizes. It's really expensive to try to correct these things once the product has already gone into production. And sometimes it may be impossible to change. You may be stuck with some of those things that were not corrected early in the process. So it's really key for us to be able to do those things early on. Also in the tech pack, we tend to keep track of our fits and our samples. And so any communication, any dialogue, any back and forth between you and the factory about samples that were received, like prototypes or first fit samples or second fit samples, and any of the conversation or dialogue regarding how those measurements were executed and if those measurements were approved or not. And so it gives you a lot of data to go back on to make sure that you know which product or which version of that product was what actually went towards production and if that's what's sold. Because before you know it, you're going to be in front of the customer with that product. And if the customer loves it, you're going to want to know, what did you do? And how can you replicate what you did? And if the customer doesn't love it, you're going to want to know what you did and how not to repeat your mistakes. So this is all really valuable information, valuable for you as a designer, as a small brand, as a business, to be able to capture and keep track of all of the things that you've done. So what we want to do is I'm going to open up PLM and give you just kind of a brief overview. And then in the next class, we'll start to go over the title page. I'm going to share my screen. So if you take a class with us here for Gerber Unique PLM, we do teach this, and you can take a full course on the PLM system, product lifecycle management, where you'll learn how to build a tech pack in a software platform. This is exceptionally important for any of you who are thinking about working in the fashion industry. We all work this way, and so it's key for you to also learn to work this way as well. In the Unique PLM system, you will have a full toolbar here to the left side, and it will give you details on color, image, materials, the style itself that you're working on, if you're making a line sheet and what's included in the line, your development calendar and where you may be in process, the resources that may be needed to support that, sourcing. So whenever you're going to work with a material supplier, or if you're working with a mill, all of the sourcing, your labor, factories, all of that, the sourcing will all be available there for you to keep track of what you've found. The quick sample is another place for you to kind of see a reference of what is in work. The flash edit, batch queue, controls. You've got a variety of different folders here that help you to keep track of what's going on. And so if you take our product lifecycle management course, you'll get a chance to see a lot of these in more detail. But what we're going to do for the purposes of our class, we're going to actually go through each step of creating a tech pack inside of product lifecycle management software. And so you'll get a chance to see kind of a reference image of what it will look like, as well as just taking a quick look inside the system to see what it can do. So we look forward to taking you through this process. And we know that this is definitely going to be something that will transform the way that you work. If you are a small brand, the Gerber technology does work with small brands as well as large companies. And so you should definitely inquire with us about how to, if you love the program and you love the platform and you want to be able to work with them, let us know. We'd love to connect you and get you set up. So definitely reach out to us. We would love to talk with you more about it. But what we want to do during this time is just to really teach you how to use the platform, but more so how to understand the tech pack itself and what it does for the fashion industry. So we'll catch you guys next time.